welcome back to day 2 of the Digital Planning Bootcamp. I'm super excited because today we're going to be talking about how to add text and work with images, which are the two things that I actually use the most inside my digital planner. And there's actually a lot of fun things you can do with those. So before we jump in, I did want to go over something really quick. In yesterday's tutorial, I had talked about how I would do 2 separate videos, one for the Android devices and one for Apple devices. I'm actually not going to do that. I'm going to combine them all into one video for each day. And the reason being that it will keep the clutter on my YouTube channel a little bit down, but also it will make it a lot easier for you to find the right video. And you can use the chapter markers down below or in the description box to jump ahead to the Android version. So if I will do the Goodnotes version first each day and then the Android version, and you can just skip to the Android version super easily if you're not interested in watching the Goodnotes version. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into the Goodnotes tutorial. So the first thing I want to cover is the text tool. This is the text tool right here. You can click on it, and then to add text, you're just simply going to tap anywhere on the page. It's going to bring up your keyboard. If you don't have an actual keyboard connected, you can add in whatever you want to write. Oops. I think I did that at 9 o'clock. And then once you tap off, it will deselect it, and then you can move it or manipulate it just like anything else. You have a couple different options with the text box. You have your font right here. Goodnotes will import any font you add to your iPad. So I've added a couple custom fonts like Tangerine and this one here, but you have a ton that come with your iPad as well to pick from. So there's tons of options there. You have your font size right here. You can either scroll it up and down or use the plus and minus buttons. And then you have your paragraph styling right here. And this includes line spacing, which is the amount of distance you have between each line. And then you have your text box style options right here. So this would be the background. So let me actually select to reselect a text after you've clicked off it. You just use your text tool and click on it, and then you can change this here. So this is, you can see the background of the box. You can create your own by clicking on advanced right here. And then you can save presets if you have a bunch that you use regularly. And then lastly, this is one of my favorite features of Goodnotes. You can save a certain text styling as a default. So every time you create a new text box, it will automatically use those settings. So I have mine set, as you can see, using my favorite font at the size that I like. So that way I can quickly add a bunch of text without styling each individual box. So what you'll do is create some type of text and then change the settings here for what you want, and then click save as default, and that will save your setting. So if you want to, you can double tap on here to go back in and edit it if you want. You can also use your lasso tool, and you can change the color by tapping inside the circle and clicking color. You can also click resize and drag to resize it. Another thing, if you use the text box and you want, let's say I want at 9 o'clock to be under the word appointment, I can use these little dots on the side to drag them over, and it will move it down a line. And that's also, you can drag it out to get rid of that if you are looking for like one single line. So that is pretty much it as far as how to manipulate and edit text inside Goodnotes. I'm going to just delete this. And next we're going to talk about images. There's a couple different ways you can import stickers and images into Goodnotes. The first way I want to talk about is using a sticker kit. Sticker kits are pre-assembled Goodnotes files with a bunch of images in them that you can use like stickers in your digital planner. They're already cropped and resized for you. That's the biggest benefit of those. And they're laid out for you in a really easy to view format. So you're not scrolling through a bunch of different files looking for an image. which can be kind of time consuming and make digital planning a little bit less fun. So the sticker kits, I've actually included a freebie sticker kit for you. The link to it is in the day 2 email. So if you're finding this video on YouTube, or you jumped into the video before reading the rest of the email, go back to the email and there will be a button to download the sticker kit, or you can sign up for the boot camp and get the emails by looking in the description box below. So this is the sticker kit that's included with the Digital Planning Bootcamp. You can see there's just a bunch of matching stickers for you to kind of experiment with. To copy one over, to bring it over, you're going to select it. Again, you don't need to draw a circle, like a perfect shape around whatever you're trying to grab. Just draw a sloppy circle anywhere inside that sticker or including that sticker. Tap inside it, click copy, go back to the page that you're wanting to use it on and click tap and hold, click paste. And then it will automatically pull up a resize box that you can use to resize it. This will delete it. So you can, and then as soon as you're ready, you can tap off of it to place it down. Another way, there's actually 3 different ways I'm going to show you to import stickers. So the second way to import stickers is using either your file folder or Dropbox. The process is the same, so I'm just going to show you Dropbox because that's where I keep my stickers. But if you imported them onto your actual iPad, they would be inside your files, and you'll have to navigate to those wherever you saved them to. So to do this, you're going to, I don't know if you saw how I did that. I kind of slowly drug up from the bottom and it pulls up this bar here. I already have my Dropbox open. If you don't see your Dropbox here, you need to go out, find it, and open it for it to show up here. Same with your file folder, which I have both of them already open. You're going to click on it and drag it over to the side. It's going to pull up a dual window. You can use this black bar to resize it. I'm going to make it kind of a 3/4 view here because I find that the easiest way to do this. Then you're going to find the sticker you want to import, which I already have them pulled up. So I'm going to pull this one over. I'm just going to tap and hold until it kind of lifts off the page and then drag it over. And it's going to drop it on the page for me. And again, I can resize it really quickly there. If you have really slow internet, sometimes the drag and drop feature doesn't work. If it's not working for you, another way you can import from Dropbox is by clicking the 3 little dots. Click share, export file, and then click copy. So that way you don't actually have to save it to your iPad. And then go back over here, using your lasso tool, tap and hold and click paste. That will also bring it over from your Dropbox if you're having issues with the drag and drop feature, which sometimes happens. To close this, you're just going to drag it all the way off the screen. So that's how you get them in from Dropbox. The last way I want to show you is using the picture tool. So the picture tool is right here. If you tap anywhere on the page, it's going to pull up your photos, your most recent photos, and you can add things in this way. So if I want to add an image, I'm just going to tap on it and it will pull it in and I can resize it. I don't use this to add stickers. I only use this to add photos from my camera roll, but you can actually go in and click insert from and browse your folders to import it that way. Again, that takes a really long time compared to the other 2 ways of adding stickers. So I only do this to import items from my camera roll if I'm like digital scrapbooking. So to delete an image after you've added it, the easiest way is to use the picture tool, tap on it and click the little red dot. You can also use the lasso tool, select it and then click delete. It's just an alternative way of doing it. If you want to resize, again, you can use either tool. The picture tool, you just tap on it and you can click resize, click this to resize it. You can also rotate it this way. And this one, you would just click resize. And again, you can rotate with that. The only difference between the lasso and the picture tool here is with the picture tool, you can actually stretch the image. Let's do it with this one. So you have these extra options here. So you can change the dimensions of the image this way, which is actually a really cool feature of Goodnotes that you can't do in Noteshelf or Zinnia, which I think kind of makes Goodnotes amazing. Another option with the picture tool is if you tap on it again, you can click crop. And then you can either use the rectangle tool, which will create a perfect rectangle crop of whatever you're working on, or the freehand tool to, like, let's say I don't like that this bottom blue bar is in here. I could freehand crop that out like this, which it's not going to be perfect. And now it's gone. So those are some really awesome ways to edit and work with images inside of Goodnotes. The last thing I want to show you is that you can actually import multiple items of and resize them together. This is really convenient if you have like one of our sticker kits. Let me show you the Tis the Season sticker kit. You have these numbers over here, and let's say you're working on like a monthly spread and you want to bring all of these over and resize them together. You can actually circle all of them, bring them over and paste, and then you can resize them all together so that they will all stay the same size and you don't have to individually go in and resize every single one. So that's how you would do that. And if you wanted to reselect them again, you're just going to draw a circle around them all and tap inside it, and you can manipulate it that way. This is also a quick way to delete all of them. So that's it for today's tutorial inside Goodnotes. So next I'm just going to go ahead and switch over to the Samsung tablet, and we're going to be talking about how to do pretty much the same things inside of a Noteshelf instead of Goodnotes. So let me go grab that and I'll be right back. All right, guys, so had to stop for a second and put on a jacket because it's freezing in here. But let's go ahead and jump right into the Noteshelf version of this tutorial, or the Android version. I did really quickly want to mention that the Noteshelf app for Android and the Noteshelf app for the iPad are very different. They have a very similar feel and look, and they are made by the same developer, and they have some similarities, but they do operate differently, and there's a couple things that might impact if you're comparing. So I'm going to be using the Noteshelf app for Android because this is for people who have Android devices. If you have an iPad, I'd still recommend getting Goodnotes. Noteshelf on the iPad is a great app, and it does have some features like locking images that you might enjoy more. So you can definitely check that out, but just know it will operate a little bit differently than what I'm going to show you in this tutorial. Also, I want to note the difference with sticker kits, because you'll notice there's not a whole lot of shops on Etsy that offer Noteshelf files for sticker kits, and there are a lot that offer Goodnotes files. And part of the reason for that is because Noteshelf has a different file type for its Apple version and its Android version. So when you do see shops that offer Noteshelf versions of their sticker kits, you want to take note of if it's the .noteshelf file type or the .nsa, which NSA is for the Noteshelf Android devices, because they will not work together. So if you download a Noteshelf file that was made on an Apple device, it will not work on your Android device, and vice versa. If you download one made on an Android device, it will not work on an Apple device. So you want to make sure you know what you're buying if you're looking for sticker kits made specifically for Noteshelf. I'm hoping that they come up with a better system for that in the future, or they address that in some way, because it does make it really difficult for sellers to communicate what exactly they're selling, and then they have to create two different sticker kits if they truly want to provide Noteshelf stickers for both platforms. So in this tutorial, we are going to be talking about how to import stickers from like just a regular file type, not a Noteshelf file, for that reason, because there are really not very many shops that offer the file type anyways, and chances are if they do, it might not be for the Android devices because it's still more popular on Apple. So anyways, let's open up Noteshelf. Okay, so I've got my app here, and I did change some settings here. If you're wondering, you can change the settings like colors and stuff all right here inside Noteshelf. And I also got a new screen protector and case, so it looks a little different from the last time you saw it, but that's partially because I added some things since this is a new tablet for me. Anyway, so we're going to be going over the same things we went over for the Goodnotes tutorial, which is adding text and adding images. So text, to add text to your Noteshelf page, you're going to use this little T box right here. And then you can click on the page anywhere. And I have mine set, my keyboard set to floating, because I find that easier when I'm digitally planning. You can change that by clicking on this little like keyboard icon right here. And then you can do split keyboard, or you can do the regular standard keyboard. I like the floating keyboard for digital planning. It just makes things easier. But honestly, in Noteshelf, I very rarely use my keyboard, and I'll tell you why. The biggest reason why is because adding your own custom fonts into a Samsung device is extremely difficult. And I just do not care to mess with it. On the iPad, it's very simple. On the iPad, Goodnotes and Noteshelf will both pull in any fonts that you download onto your device into the app, so you can use custom fonts really easily. It doesn't work that way on Samsung devices. I don't know if it works that way on the Microsoft Surface Pro, which is another big one that people who like Android devices use. But as far as Samsung devices, getting custom fonts is really difficult and time consuming. Or as a side note on that, if you pay for the extra fonts you can get out of like the Samsung store, those will not import into Noteshelf either. So really you have to be able to use one of the apps like iFont, or I think there's another one called like ZFont or something like that. And they require a lot of work that I'm not willing to put in. So the app itself, or the program itself, only comes with a handful of fonts. So we're going to just start by adding a text box. You just double tap on the screen with the text tool selected, and it will pull up your keyboard. If you want to format the text, you will need to switch over to the standard keyboard, and then you'll see you have these options right here. Again, and this could be kind of glitchy. You only have these 4 different types of text that are almost the exact same, but you can change your font size and your font color here. One thing you can do if you add something in, so let's say type hello, you can resize this text box right here by dragging this little gray line item right here. And then you can actually use your selector tool, your lasso tool up here, select it and move it around. You can also then delete it, and you have the same kind of options you have with anything else, or text and stickers and stuff like that. And you can colorize it here, which I find easier than colorizing it through that bar, or you can also resize, and I find that also easier. But again, I very rarely use the text tool in Noteshelf because it's really not that great, especially since you can't have any custom fonts on Android. It's different on the Apple version, like I said before. So keep that in mind, that is one of the limitations of using an Android device, or using Noteshelf on an Android device. But the pen tool definitely makes up for it, because the pen tool in Noteshelf actually smooths out your handwriting, so it looks a lot more realistic to what you would actually write in real life, and it's much more enjoyable to use than even Goodnotes or Noteshelf on Apple. So keep that in mind, because I would honestly prefer to use the handwriting tool in this over any of the handwriting tools on my iPad Pro. So anyways, let's move on here. The next tool the next thing I want to go over with you guys is how to add images. Adding images in Noteshelf is very different from adding images in Goodnotes, and it's extremely different. This is where the biggest difference comes into play between the Noteshelf Apple version and Noteshelf for Android. Okay, so before we actually get started, or we actually go through the process of adding a sticker, I want to show you how you can download the freebie stickers that come with this bootcamp. So you're going to want to go over to your internet browser and click on the link that's included in the email that you got for the bootcamp. That will take you to this page here on Dropbox where you can download the stickers. So you will want to download on your Android device. You're most likely going to want to download the mini sticker kit freebie, the zip drive. If you click on it, you can click download. Show you a bunch of stuff, and then you can see that I downloaded one file. I'm going to go over to my files and go into downloads, and I'm going to look for that mini sticker kit zip file. You can click off this little Mac OS thing and then click extract, and it will ask you what you want it to look like. So then what I actually like to do is move this over into a file I've created already called stickers on my tablet. So to do that, I'm just going to tap and hold on this, and this little bar will pop up underneath, and you can click move, and then you're going to go back and you can navigate to the file that you want it to go into, which I want it to go in here, and I actually favorited it so I could find it really easy. And then you click move here. And then all of your little stickers will show up in this file. Now, you can import them very easily. I want to talk real quick about dual screen mode on your tablet. A lot of people on the iPad will use dual screen mode to drag and drop stickers onto the Noteshelf app or the Goodnotes app. And that is super nice and super convenient. Unfortunately, Samsung's dual screen mode does not actually work that way. And so you cannot pull up your notes. Well, you can pull up your notes next to it, and I'll show you how you go. You drag up this bar here, you click on these 3 little bars, and if you tap on that icon, you can open in split screen mode. And then I can also open up my files, and then here are all the things. You can't drag these over. You can't really do anything here other than view them. So this doesn't work as well on a tablet as it does on the iPad. So keep that in mind. One workaround is you can pull up 2 screens of Noteshelf. And to do that, you'd actually go in through the same steps. I'll show you. Split screen, we're going to open files, and then I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to click more, open with, and I'm going to click Noteshelf, and it's going to actually create like a whole separate file for just that sticker. But this will open up a second screen of Noteshelf for you. And you could go in and create your own sticker kits, which I actually have one here I was working on. And then you can copy them over instead of drag and drop. But it doesn't work. Whoops. It doesn't work super great, to be honest. So it's not really a feature I would recommend using or experimenting a lot with. The best way to do it is actually use this plus button here. Go into photo library, and then mine automatically takes me to Dropbox. Haven't figured out how to change that. I go into Kelsey's tab S7, and then I will locate that file stickers, and then I can find mini sticker kit, and these are all the images that are in there. And to import one, all you have to do is just click on it. It will bring it over, and it usually brings it over really large. If you need to, you can move it around till you see these little red arrows, and then you can resize it. One thing with Noteshelf that you'll notice is once I pass that middle of the image, it will start to get larger. So the way around that is you just lift up and do it again, and you can keep going like this till you get it to the size that you want. And then you can reposition it by grabbing in the middle. You can also rotate it. So if you click on this little rotate button here and you drag it, it will go, you can rotate it to whatever you want, or you can tap it and it will do a perfect 90-degree rotate, which is really nice. You'll also notice there was a little menu bar at the top that has some extra options. To get back into that menu bar, if you click off of the sticker, you're going to kind of go about it in a really odd way. This is a really weird quirk of Noteshelf in my opinion, because if you use the lasso tool to grab it, you can move it and you can resize color. You can, rearrange it if you have that, and all those things, but you can't go back into the crop or the lock options. So to get back to those, you're actually going to use your eraser, which is right here, and tap and hold, and then tap again, and that bar will pop up. And this is a great little side note for Noteshelf, or hack for Noteshelf, because when you're working with a lot of images, having this on instead of your lasso tool is actually more convenient because you can tap and hold and click on whatever you want. And it's another workaround for working in layers as well. So if you're struggling with, a couple things that are layered on top of each other, using the eraser tool to select the images is a way around that. So you're not selecting multiple images like you would be with the lasso tool. So then you can lock, which will make it so if I try to grab it, it won't move. And then to unlock it, you grab the eraser tool and unlock. And then this is also where you would find the crop, which you go into edit. This is like your square crop. This is where you would erase like a part of the image. So instead of having like a lasso tool, they have like an eraser. And then this is where you would draw like the lasso, I guess, if you wanted to just select a certain portion of the image. And to save it, I guess I got out of that a little too fast. To save it, you would click this done button, and then that would keep it, the whatever you did to it, applied. Or you can click cancel if you mess up. Let's see. So going back to the lasso tool, we're going to talk about resizing real quick. So if you want to resize, you have the two options. So you can use the eraser, tap and hold, and then resize with these little boxes, or rotate, or you can use the lasso tool, select it, and resize it this way. You can also delete, same way, lasso tool, delete, or eraser tool, tap and hold, and then tap again, delete. In Noteshelf, another limitation of Noteshelf as of right now, and this is true for both the Android and the Apple versions, is you cannot stretch the image. So in Goodnotes, I showed you how you could kind of stretch the image and change the proportions of the image. You can't do that in Noteshelf. You really have only the proportion that the sticker came in, or you have to crop to make it whatever proportions you're looking for. One of the unique features of Noteshelf with images that Goodnotes does not offer is you do have some additional options with images that I just wanted to cover really quickly. Not only do you have access to your camera and your photo library straight from within Noteshelf, you also can go into their media library. This is something fun I think Noteshelf does that is very unique and I appreciate, because you have a ton of just stock images that you can import and play around with. So if you don't have a ton of stickers and you're just barely getting started, I mean, it's really fun and cool to be able to go in and have all of these at no extra cost, that you can add in. And you can pull in images from both Pixabay and Unsplash, which has a ton of stuff as well. So that's a really cool feature that they offer that I wanted to point out for you to compare as you work with them or work through what you want. One quirk that's difficult to work with images in Noteshelf, at least for the Android, it's not the same in, this doesn't happen in the Apple version. This is a weird glitch in the Android version, and hopefully they will have it fixed soon. But for right now, it is there, and I wanted to share it with you. There's actually two things. One of them is if you layer two images on top of each other and you try to lock them both, which makes sense, right? It actually only locks the bottom image. So you can't lock like a bunch of layers. You can literally only lock the bottom-most layer. So once you put like two things on top of each other and then you add text, again, only going to lock the bottom-most layer. That actually is really frustrating when you're working in layers. So that is something to keep in mind as you go through. And then also with really large images, it can really struggle. So an example is I actually created a spread to show you guys this. And I only got partway through the spread, so it's not done, but this is what it kind of looks like. These images down here, because they're kind of large and long, it will sometimes only show them as those kind of like semi boxes, as well as if I go to try to select this on like a corner, I actually can't. It will only allow me to select it in the middle. Even with the lasso tool, it's like it doesn't recognize the edges after it reaches a certain proportion. So some of those weirdly proportioned things like washi tape, which is what this is, it will kind of struggle with because it doesn't quite recognize the edges, and you'll struggle to get it to the right size. Obviously you can. I did eventually get it to the right size, but I did end up spending a lot of time trying to get this washi tape on here. And I found it very, very frustrating. But yes, it is still doable. So just keep that in mind as you're working, that you might run into a little bit more glitches with the Noteshelf or Android app. I think especially because they're still kind of working on it. and adding new features. So they just added this new feature to lock your zoom level, which is really convenient because you can zoom up and you have this little box that kind of appears up here. You can move it around if it's in your way. If you click the little blue lock, it will actually lock it, and then you can zoom around the page or scroll around the page using both fingers if you want, or whatever, without actually changing the zoom. And if you go over to another page, it will actually save your zoom level. So that's kind of convenient, and a cool new feature that they introduced. But it did introduce some glitches and things that hopefully will be resolved in the near future, because they still believe that Noteshelf is the best app on the Android market for digital planning. Zoto is a close second, but Zoto has some limitations, like the inability to select multiple images and resize them at the same time, which I use quite often, that I find a deal breaker for myself personally. And I find this also just more intuitive as far as digital planning, and more similar to the process of physical planning, which I enjoy than what you would get out of Zoto. So anyways, that is the Noteshelf app, and that is it for today's tutorial video. I hope that you guys found this helpful, and that it made jumping into the world of digital planning a little bit easier. And I will see you again tomorrow for day 3. We're going to be talking about pages and how to move pages and duplicate pages and use templates and things like that. So I'm excited to show that to you guys, and I will see you in tomorrow's video.